Hi, I'm Greg Jeffers, and this is the Fly Over Land podcast. Since we're on the verge, maybe this close to what looks like World War III, I'm moving up this discussion, something that I wanted to put off for a while, but who knows? We may be running out of time, and hopefully we're not. But things look poorly in the Middle East, and I hope there's a way out. 5 years ago, I wrote a book. You probably never heard of it. In my book, I forecast that Iran and Israel would get into a nuclear exchange. Well, not really a nuclear exchange. Israel would use a nuclear weapon on Iran or one of their proxies, and that some of the other nuclear powers in the Middle East, Pakistan in particular, but perhaps Turkey or India, would retaliate. The world can't have, small countries with 9 million people blowing nukes off. It can't happen. And so the response would probably be very quick and very brutal. Anyway, so besides the nuclear exchange in the Middle East, everyone else gets drawn into it. And within a week or so, they're attacking each other's electrical grids, food supplies. It's full world war. And within, a very short period of time, a couple of weeks, everything has gone dark. And within 6 months, 85% of the world's population has succumbed to famine. Or certainly, I should say, North America's population, because in a winter without food and heat and electricity, not many people would come out the other side. And so that's the premise, that's the background of the book, to discuss all of the things that are wrong with our society that I wanted to talk about and what I think the solutions are. And the short answer is my philosophy, American Quakerism, was the founding philosophy of the United States of America, and it was our once and future faith. The American colonies existed in a world before industrialization. There were no factories yet. There was no use of fossil fuel outside, perhaps a little bit of coal. Mostly it was whale oil. People forged what metals they needed using bellows and coal. There was no smelting. There was no metallurgy. Mining was very rudimentary, and life was very challenging. As Peter Zeihan said, that was back when life sucked. I don't know if I agree with Zeihan's terminology, but life was certainly more challenging than it is today. And perhaps in many measures, or by many measures, we were saner than we are today. I don't think we can argue today that the world has not gone mad. I think it's painfully obvious that we have gone stark, raving mad. Now, of course, we believe that everyone else is mad, and we're right. We're perfectly okay. And people spend a lot of time trying to come up with the macro solution, how we're going to solve this problem for a country of 350 million people or a planet with 8 billion people. And these are the same people who cannot do the dishes in the morning before they go to work. They leave them in the sink all day. They cannot put up a clothesline, but they'll complain about CO2 emissions. They can't find their butt with both hands and a flashlight. But I want to share with you a different solution. You see, I think the solution is micro, not macro. I don't think there is a solution for 350 million people, half of which want to destroy the other half's well-being. I think the solution is micro, right down to the individual. Now, look, half of the country, or half of the political, of the body politic, is intent on abortion, multiculturalism, the destruction of all of our norms and mores from the past. And for all I know, perhaps they're right. But I think they should be given the opportunity to prove that they're right in isolation. And I think that people who reject that belief system, let me rephrase that reject the idea that we should eliminate the nuclear family, that we should eliminate the extended family, Kith and Kin, the clan, and our religious identities. Those are the 5 items that my ancestors had that we no longer have. And it's the 5 things that, and this is really going to tick some people off, it is the 5 things that much, if not most, of the Jewish community in America and the West still has. And it's one of the reasons that there's this huge backlash against Israel, in my opinion. It's a certain amount of jealousy. Here's a group of people that has refused to assimilate, who has refused to accept that we should be atomized, who has kept their families together, who have kept their extended families at least having some level of relation, has kept the clan identity, and has kept together some form of identity of kith and kin and their religion. Meanwhile, the rest of us, we work for Coca-Cola. We work for Bank of New York. We work for whatever establishment it is. And that's our identity. No longer are we a member of a family, a clan, or a religion. So we need to unatomize. We need to re-tribalize, if you will. I don't know the right term. These terms will probably make somebody unhappy. But we need to regroup around people with similar values and then let the chips fall where they may. This invasion you're seeing at the southern border, it's not what you think. That part of the body politic that supports the border invasion, and it's half of America, they have the worst fertility in the history of the West. They're producing almost essentially no children. They looked at that and realized we have got to replace ourselves with someone. So they're looking ahead 10, 15, 20 years. And they believe that this is, rather than having babies, what they need are immigrants that will be on their side. And they may well be right. But the people on our side, the people of good faith, the people who wish to relocalize, to reclanize, to refamilyize, I'm just slinging words out here, that the people of good conscience, what we need to do is separate ourselves from the insane. We need to reform families. We need to start having children again. And we need to build communities around those children. And we need to make a living. And we need to be healthy. The average American is 50 or 60 pounds overweight. And there's this battle in the media about how, all weight and all sizes, all shapes are beautiful. They're all healthy. They're all wonderful. It's not true. 50 or 60 extra pounds turns the volume of your life all the way down to 0. And the reason we're having this battle is because, the advertisers control the media. And the people doing most of the advertising are in the business of selling artificially brown-colored sugary drinks. We know who I'm talking about here. Fast food and processed foods. If those companies, if the American people stopped consuming those products and those companies went away, think about the demolition to corporate profits, to the stock market, to the establishment. It would be terrible for them. But if the average person went back to the size and shape of what their grandparents looked like back in 1960, it would be a wonderful thing for America. So we need to start thinking for ourselves rather than thinking the thoughts that the screens are implanting into our brains and these ideas that they're implanting into us. These are terrible ideas. The idea that you should be 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds overweight and then take another drug in order to lose that weight is insane. You don't know what the side effects of the drugs are, and you do know what the side effects of an extra 80 pounds are. This is our life we're speaking about, our well-being. Now, we can't function as a community with a population of disabled people. And that's what we are. America is a population of people who are disabled by their weight. And it's affecting their politics, it's affecting their religious beliefs, it's affecting their mental health, it's affecting their physical health, and we've gone stark raving mad. Absolutely insane. Now, it's not all, this is a complicated issue. The outcome of how large we've become is one item of this. The other is, this is again just my opinion, in the last 3 generations, we have truly urbanized. Now, in China and in Korea, it happened in the last 1 and 2 generations, respectively. And that's why they're going extinct, I think. We took a little longer, a little slower. We adjusted to it, but we reached this tipping point. And there's now no longer a supply of adults to come in from the hinterlands to fill the cities with replacement adults for the people living in the urban environments who didn't have children. And so we've got this massive, massive problem staring us in the face. If we can avoid World War III, we still have this population collapse issue that's coming right down the pike at us. And half of American families are going to go extinct. Now, I don't know who thought this up or who thought it was a good idea, but no one's talking about it, and someone should. Now, to relocalize, we're going to have to get a couple of monkeys off of our backs, besides the obesity epidemic and the pharmaceutical industry. We also need to get the healthcare industry off of our backs and the educational industrial complex. It's not going to be easy. These are very powerful lobbies, and they were created by the federal government and state governments to a lesser extent to pay off. These were political payoffs for their votes. So, stripping the bark off of these guys is not going to be easy. But I want to tell you why it is that we have to do it and why it's enslaving us. And here's my evidence. Healthcare is the vehicle with which corporate America keeps us or keeps the people enslaved. By making healthcare sure to bankrupt you, and everybody gets sick eventually. The only question is, do you get your cancer at 40 or at 80? But eventually, everybody dies. And the end is often, we drag it out, and it's very unpleasant, and it's very expensive. And so, and this is, you are at your weakest moment of your life, right? This is the end of life. And we can't admit it's the end of life. We have to we're going to try everything. We're going to do everything. Well, I want to tell you about my experience out here in a different community. There are religious communities in the Midwest, Amish, Old Order Mennonite, Bible Brethren, these intentional Christian communities that do not participate in health insurance. Well, not just health insurance, any kind of insurance. Not Medicare, not Social Security, not health insurance, no homeowners insurance, no insurance. All right. So people that, if the left's assertion that its lack of access to health care is what is killing the poor and downtrodden, if that were true, then the Amish should have very, very short lives because they don't get annual checkups. They don't take medications for chronic conditions very often. They consume, perhaps by my estimation, between 1% and 2% of their community's GDP on health care. For us, it's 20%. And I think theirs is less than 1%. If we consumed healthcare the way these religious groups consumed healthcare, the healthcare system would implode. It's 20% of GDP. Can you imagine if we blew up the healthcare system, 20% of GDP? You blew up processed foods. You blew up Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, all the sugary companies. Yes, we would be thinner. We'd have all of our teeth. We wouldn't be enslaved by the corporations, but our system would implode. This is where we're at. It doesn't add up. It's going to get fixed one way or another. And it's better to be on the right side of this than on the wrong side. Now, lots of people are going to reject my ideas. They're going to say that I'm out of my freaking mind. And they might be right. They might not. But my assertion is this. If you agree with my ideas, if you think that I might be right, if you think that we have gone insane, if you think that we have been enslaved and that we've been captured by this health insurance mandate and this educational industrial complex mandate and the way that we feed ourselves, if you think that's true, well, then you have to fix it. And my other assertion is the government is not going to do it for you. This will have to be done at the individual level. You're going to have to solve these problems for yourself. Or you have to remain in that environment, in the urban environment, and become a childless automaton working for the corporations. You can be, drink wine every night and go out to dinner with your friends and, have no children and that's your life. If that's not your life, if you intend to, at some point, find a spouse, find a significant other, and have a family, which will happen. One way or another, we are going to go back to producing children. Whether it happens after the population has collapsed 80%, 50%, or 20% is the question. But the surviving people in 100 years or 3 generations from now or 2 generations from now will get back to the business of raising families. This is a temporary event, a temporary insanity. We've lost our minds. And if you're a member of the people that is not insane, hear me. There is no solution to this other than what you make it. So what to do? You weren't born into a Jewish family or an Amish family or a Mennonite family, or you have no particularly strong faith. Well, there is an alternative. In our faith, such as it is, we reject, for the most part, reject is a poor word. We're not big on beliefism. It's all about the ethics. It's all about your behavior and your conduct and the way that you live your life. Now, in another video, I will go into all the particulars of that, but if that sounds appealing to you, stick around. I've got a lot more to say on the subject. But we've got to stop. We have got to become sane again. We have got to get away from the people who have lost their minds. We don't want to fight with them and we don't want to kill each other. Those people must live in isolation. They must live amongst themselves until they sort it out. And we have to get together and get on with it. We have to get back on with the project of civilization, of humanity, and of life. Well, that's enough for me today. Thank you. I'm Greg Jeffers with the American Quaker Friends Church. More soon.